Today's video, we are going to make yet another thing. If you guys watch my channel, you know I like to tinker and I'm always making stuff. And I've learned that if you make something, you can usually make a better quality product and you can save money doing it. And that's just the case today. So when we're tying flies, when we're using our wire or our thread, or even when we're fly fishing, we're using tippet, or even when we're fishing and we're using our regular fishing line, it always seems to just turn into a big mess. Wire is the worst. If you are using small wire and tying on your midges and stuff like that, it seems to always just fray out. Today's video, I've made a solution. What we've got is we've got a little elastic band that goes around. You can see the wire is completely tight. I can pull out what I need, cut it. It doesn't unspool when I'm done. I can even wrap it back around. It works perfect. I make them for my tippet. So when I have my tippet on the line, I can see where it's at. When you buy tippet, a lot of times it'll come with an elastic band that's just that way. Some of the high end will come with something similar to this, but the majority of it doesn't. When they're like this, the tippet can still unfray, and it's hard to see where it is to find the end. With this, it's hanging out. I can see where it is, and it's not getting tangled up on everything. It makes it so much easier for me to be able to see my tippet, especially when you get old like I am. You can see your tippet a lot easier out there, and it's not going to fray anywhere. For a regular fishing line, the exact same thing. You know, you unhook it off the spool, and a lot of times it'll have a piece of tape. That tape never lasts. This trick works. So what we're going to need is I use elastic headbands. Now, if you're going to go with bigger styles of thread or string, you're going to need some bigger elastic bands like this that's longer. But hair bands are the exact size you need for tippet. So I'm going to show you guys how to make them for tippet and for regular. It's all the exact same stuff. So what you need is these, some heat shrink tubing. This is 3/8 heat shrink tubing. Some coffee stir sticks. These are little sticks that you use to stir your coffee, and if you ever stay at a motel, you'll be able to get you some. If not, when you go to a restaurant and get some coffee, most every place is going to have some of these. You can buy them in packs if they don't. I'll make a link to where you can. We've got that. We've got some 3/8 heat shrink tubing. You're going to need a lighter and some super glue, and that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off and I'll show you guys how to make one for a bobbin. The system is the exact same for whatever you make. If you're going with a larger spool for like regular fishing string, you're going to need to go with the regular elastic band. If you're making anything for standard size tippet or for bobbins, this elastic stuff works a lot better, I think. And I think it's a little bit more durable. It's actually made to be outside all the time. So I like this a lot better. The outer coating on it seems to protect better. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our elastic bands. Now, if we're making this for tippet, all you need to do is cut it in this process. But I'm going to show you how to measure it if you're making it for a bobbin. So when we're going to put it on a bobbin, such as for wire or a thread, you're going to take it and you're going to pinch it on just like this. And when you pinch it on, you're going to see where that kind of closes up. We're going to leave about 3/8 of an inch extra hanging out on each side. We're just going to cut it with our scissors. So what I've done now is you can see there's a little piece hanging out about 3/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to take the 3/8 heat shrink tubing and I'm going to cut a little piece about 3/8 of an inch. You can see it's just like that. So now I'm going to take that, I'm going to push it over the fold of that elastic. Now if you're going to use the regular elastic and make it for standard fishing line, you'll probably want to go to a 1/2 inch heat shrink tubing because it's going to be really tight to get it in there. So the next thing, we're going to take our coffee stir stick. Now these are really sharp, so they're going to cut your line, they're going to cut your wire, they're going to do all kinds of problems if you don't treat them first. So take your lighter. I always use these tall lighters because it keeps your finger from getting hot. They work really well. I'm going to just kind of heat the edge. Now I have a ceiling fan on in here, so it makes it a little bit hard with the lighter. But you can see how it rounds the ends and it gets rid of that sharp edge. So once I've done that, playing with lighters, you're going to get burned. Always be careful. Don't want to be a safety third kind of guy like me. So use your safety, be smart. You're going to take this straw and you're going to cut it about 3/8 of an inch. Now we heat one side of it when we start. We'll finish the other side in a second. Just heat the one side to start. Once you have that done, what we're going to do is we're going to take our super glue. Now I use a gel super glue. I've seen people do hot glue with these, but hot glue's just, it's bulky, and I think this works better. It takes a little longer for the setup, but that's okay with me. So I'm going to take my super glue, and at the very ends that are going to touch the straw, I'm going to put a little bit of that gel super glue in. Doesn't take a whole lot because the heat shrink tubing is actually going to hold everything in place. So I take that, and I take my straw that we pre-cut, and remember, we heat the inside, and I'm going to set that inside them two pieces and squeeze that super glued elastic to it. So now there's super glue touching the straw to the elastic and holding it in place. Once I have that done, I'm going to take my heat shrink tubing and I'm going to pull it up over it. Now it's tight. I don't want it real loose because I want that heat shrink to snug down really well on it. So the tubing is pretty tight over that elastic, and that is on purpose. So I'm going to just pull that over. Now when we heat the straw the first time, on the inside, it rounded that edge. We didn't do that to this side, and there's a reason why. The elastic is going to fray, and you're going to have the extra thread there. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your lighter, and you're just going to heat it up now. And that singes them threads that are hanging out off the elastic so it doesn't unravel, and that gets that top to where it's the same way. Once you have that done, all you got to do is take your lighter. Now you can use a heat gun, you can use a hair dryer, any kind of thing that can produce heat. And you're just going to heat that tubing down. And once you get that tubing down, you're done. The only thing is when you get done with this, you can't use it for 20 minutes. Because if I pull on this now, that heat shrink tubing's still hot, I'm going to loosen it all up. So let it sit for just a few minutes, and you're going to end up with something just like this. However the length you need. If you're using your tippet, standard tippet, these are the exact size you need. If you're going to use a spool of thread, take your elastic, put it around there, make it a little bit tight, and overhang it about 3/8 of an inch. That's all you need. Then when you put them on, they just slide right on. And what I do is I'll take the end of my wire, the end of my tippet, whatever it is, and I'll poke it through the hole first. And I'll have it loose, and I'll poke it through the hole, and once I have it through the hole that's in that where the straw is, then I just slide that on and reel it back in, and you're good to go. This will secure your wire. It'll secure thread if you want specialty threads, stuff like that. Your tippet, you can make it for your fishing line, anything that's going to go loose. These little things are handy as can be. You can make them for literally pennies, and it will save you a lifetime of headaches with your wire. And tip it on the water, just an easy thing to make, and you can make a whole bunch of them. I could probably make 20 of them for under $2. So cheap deal. Hope these tips help, guys. If you haven't watched our channel, please go to the I'veGotBugs.com, and you can see all of our media out there. I'll put links to where you can buy this stuff in the description. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next video.